Let's talk about varying views when it comes to advocacy. I think it's so important to recognize that all views are valid and that I would never intentionally tear somebody else down. Sometimes meaning can get assigned to the words that I say, and oftentimes that meaning is simply not there. I would never ever put somebody down to elevate myself. That is just not the kind of person that I am, and anybody that has taken the time to actively get to know me as a person and have conversations with me and create that dialogue would know that I am a very genuine person who is very passionate about certain subjects. Now, with that being said, I want to make it abundantly clear that when I'm talking about employment, especially here in Canada, which is what my main focus is, somebody else who is autistic, who might be affiliated with the government and have conversations with them on their behalf, representing the government when it comes to employment, certainly has very valid experiences, and perhaps the things that work for them are not going to be the same things that work for me. And that's totally okay. I just think it's important when we're having these conversations that we approach it from a very balanced worldview. So here's what I mean. If an autistic advocate finds value in these employment programs that the government has, that is totally wonderful. That means that the gaps are not there for them, but the gaps are there for me. And what works for one person might not work for other people. So for instance, recently there was I believe, symposium that was put on by the government of Canada, or at least they participated in something to do with the United Nations. And an autistic advocate who recently won an award, which is absolutely incredible and amazing, and I would never look down upon that or judge somebody. I believe they highlighted the benefits of these autistic employment initiatives, or at least things that might be aligned with that. From what I have heard, it was done in a very positive light, giving accolades to the government for the work that they're doing and speaking on the government's behalf. Having an autistic person represent employment in the ways that are positive for them and suits them is, again, a wonderful thing. We want more involvement in these things, and to see somebody, benefit from these programs and be able to speak on them is, again, very positive. But we need to recognize on the flip side that what might work for one person isn't ultimately going to work for other people. And I think the reason for me why I'm so passionate about this right now is because I was recently told by an employment program that I needed to go through Community Living British Columbia in order to access a program called Ready, Willing, and Able without having to pay that program directly as an autistic job seeker. But then it was also said to me in a roundabout way that I guess I'm not the right kind of autistic person to access this program. So it leads me to believe that this program, Ready, Willing, and Able, is more for the autistic job seeker that has higher levels of support needs than my own. And that creates this effect and impression on me that there is a specific type of autistic person that can benefit from these employment programs that I can't benefit from. I was also essentially told by one of these organizations that I spoke with recently that I was more so somebody that they'd work with, not find employment for. So I absolutely appreciate the broad conversations that are happening in this space. But on the flip side, we also really need to recognize what is not being said. And I don't expect an autistic advocate who is not running into the same problems as me to be able to identify them. Just like I wouldn't be able to identify other problems, maybe because I'm not in that position. Maybe I don't necessarily see the same strengths because I have not been able to benefit from these programs. So the broad scope of it is the employment programs that are for autistic people don't suit my needs, and I know the needs of many others. They certainly can suit the needs of other individuals, but we're not serving a broad enough scope of people to really meet the needs of a wider variety of autistic people. That's one of the key takeaways. Another one is I would never ever put somebody else down in order to elevate myself. Because that's not what this is about. This is about equality and inclusion when it comes to employment for autistic people and disabled people. That's what my goal is to have more resources for self-employment, because the ones that were communicated to me by the government are just not things that meet my needs. Many of them are inaccessible. Many of them are just not for me. And also in terms of seeking out external employment that I'm not providing for myself, so being employed by somebody else, my needs are not being met there either. That's the conversation that I was trying to have. And it frustrates me that the way that I presented the information would be misconstrued as me trying to somehow be malicious towards somebody else when that was never the intention. The intention was about understanding that the way one person presents something is certainly not the way that everybody's going to present the same information, because our needs are all different and I think they're all valid. It just hurts me sometimes that my voice can be put down in order to... I'm not sure what the intention is with that, but I do have to say that today I was hurt emotionally. I still am reeling from that, but I have to understand that as an autistic person that my communication style isn't going to be palatable to the majority of people because they're going to see something that's not there. So I just want to say to everybody that took the time to watch this video that I see you, that you're valid, that I'm valid, that this autistic advocate is valid, and that we need to understand that as a whole, we need to move forward to more inclusive employment opportunities, programs, funding, grants, self-employment opportunities, and all of that stuff. And I'm not going to stop fighting for that until change is made. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me. Hopefully I've conveyed my message a lot better than the tone that was unfortunately lost in text.